Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Donnie and Dolly presented by Able Auctions. Today's guests, including Thomas Drance, standing by. Brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Don't struggle to find a great deal on newer used vehicles. When Langley Chrysler has over 200 vehicles on the lot, save up to $10,500 on Ram at Langley Chrysler, in-store or online at langleychrysler.com. As we are about to bring in from The Athletic, he covers the Canucks like nobody else for
guy.
The Athletic. Thomas Drance, the Canucks in Philly today.
He's
in
in
Detroit
Philly.
Saturday. A back-to-back situation. Have we got Thomas?
Yep.
Okay. Thomas, how are you, sir? There he is. Oh, we can't hear Thomas.
Can't hear you.
We got him now? Let's try. We got him. Okay. Thomas, I'll ask you again. How are you?
I'm doing well, boys. Can
There
you
we
hear me
go.
now?
Yes,
There
perfect.
you look beautiful. Beautiful.
Perfect. Now, where are you
Thank you.
as we speak to you?
I'm in Philadelphia, which means I have my Wawa coffee with me. I've also
Okay.
got some Geno's hot sauce from the famous Philly cheesesteak spot. So
Oh, wow.
really soaking up the Western Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Wow,
awesome.
nice.
Awesome. And later on, you'll be visiting the Liberty Bell.
Rocky.
With bells on.
With bells on. Perfect. Okay, let's start with this. Charlie McAvoy. 8 years, $76 million, so that's a 9.5 cap hit. Given the deal signed by Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson, how should Canuck fans feel about what McAvoy was up to contract-wise?
Yeah, I mean, the McAvoy contract illustrates two things. One is that, you know, they've still locked McAvoy up for a cap hit that's not going to be unreasonable over the long haul, which if you're looking at Pettersson's situation and concerned about his bridge deal, you know, that's sort of a good sign, I suppose. Like, this is what Pettersson's third deal probably looks like, you know, at least on the low end, should Pettersson continue to perform the way I think we all expect him to, which is as one of the best young centermen in the NHL. On the other hand, the other thing that it illustrates is if you look at Miro Heiskanen's deal, right, or if you look at Thomas Chabot's deal, I mean, that's $1.5 million cheaper in Chabot's case and more than $1 million cheaper in the case of Heiskanen. And that's sort of the price that you get to. Like, that's the issue that you run into when you bridge guys, is that their third deals become extraordinarily expensive. That doesn't mean that McAvoy's deal is not well worth it. He's an elite defenseman. He was on my Norris ballot when I cast my vote last year. I think he should have been a nominee, frankly. I think it was clear that he was one of the three best defensemen in the NHL last season. He's a unique play driver, but, you know, even though this deal locks up all of his prime, go look at Werenski's valuation and McAvoy's valuation on their third contracts and compare it with what the teams that went long with guys like Heiskanen and Chabot, you know, what they signed. And that's the premium that you pay for the cost certainty of bridging a guy, right? For benefiting in terms of keeping their number down for the first 3 seasons. And, you know, it's okay, I think, in Boston's case, because that team's had cup aspirations, right? Like, they were trying to win during the course of McAvoy's bridge. They were trying to win more cup with Chara and then win one more cup with Bergeron. And now McAvoy is kind of the man on that team, and they're kind of looking at a different dynamic. For me, that's sort of where you come back to the Pettersson deal. Like, Pettersson's AAV now is cheaper than Brady Tkachuk's, and it's cheaper than Nick Suzuki's for the life of this deal. And he's a superior player. But if you're going to make that cost savings stand up, you better be contending over the life of this deal, right? So for me, that's the key part. Like, now the pressure's on to build a team that has a real shot, not of making the playoffs, none of that noise, like a real shot of winning if you're going to make the logic of the Pettersson deal stand up.
Thomas, as far as what's happening in Philadelphia, line combinations from today, I believe, but Chason moves down with Lamico and Dowling, and Podkolzin moves up with Pettersson and Miller. Höglander stays with Dickinson and Highmore. I could go on and on, but what do you make of these moves, Thomas, if indeed they stick?
Well, yeah, I mean, I asked Travis Green after the skate about Podkolzin moving up into that top 6, and, you know, he was really careful about reminding me that just because that's what the lines looked like during the skate, that's not necessarily what they'll be. Now, Green does that anyway. Like that, we can't read too much into that necessarily, but one thing that I noted after practice was that there was a group getting rinsed, getting skated hard. And when you get skated hard after a practice, it's pretty clear that you're not playing that night. That group included Besser, Hunt, and Shen, but it didn't include Nick Patan, who was also an extra during the morning skate. So that's a situation to look for. I'm not sure if they're just wanting to preserve his energy in case there's something we don't know about.
Right.
But just want to note that there's still some uncertainty about exactly what Vancouver's forward lines will look like. In the event that they look the way they did in line rushes during skate, the Podkolzin move up into the top 6 is obviously a big, sexy item that we need to dive into. But the other thing to remember is ice time is a much better barometer of a player's responsibility than where they take line rushes, right? Regardless of whether Podkolzin starts the game with Pettersson and Miller or not, I'd still expect him to rank 10th or 11th or 12th among Canucks forwards in overall ice time, i.e. fourth line deployment. I don't think, based on Green's post-game comments, that this is, a reward for a great performance. I think this is a effort to get Podkolzin's ice time up a little bit, right? Like, I think it's pretty clear that this player is going to be exceptional at some point for the Canucks, and maybe this season down the stretch, but it's going to be a work in progress as he adjusts to the NHL game. He's obviously a well-developed physical specimen, right? He looks really good in one-on-one situations, but there's a variety of passes, situational decisions, bad angle shots that to me sort of suggest a player who's still adjusting to the North American game. And of course he is. I mean, he's only about to play tonight, his second professional game on this continent, on this ice sheet, his career. And so, I think in order to get the best of Podkolzin come, say, February, it's really incumbent on the organization to find a way to play him 9 to 12 minutes a night and to do that consistently, regardless of whether or not he's lights out or struggling. And putting him with Pettersson and Miller, to me, suggests that the organization wants to try and find, or Green anyway, wants to try and make sure that he gets some pretty regular shifts early on in the game, because situationally, depending on how the game goes, I do think he'll end up playing closer to fourth line minutes when the leverage cranks up later on.
Thomas, give us the Besser update. I was told he was going to play this weekend, maybe outside chance. Buffalo, what do you he skated this morning. How close is he?
Well, he looks close, but he doesn't look ready to me, Rick, to be totally honest with you. I was watching him in the skate, and he was still consulting occasionally with trainers while the groups went and did in-zone work. He was kind of taking power laps in the neutral zone and then sort of going over to discuss it with trainers. He stayed on and got rinsed. He got a long workout today, though. So that's a good sign. And it does make sense to me. If you're playing a back-to-back, right, why would you bring a player who's obviously dealing with something, a nagging injury? Why would you bring him back to play back-to-back nights? That doesn't make a ton of sense, right? Makes a lot more sense to play him on Saturday anyway, in just more of a normal game situation. So, I think it's pretty clear we're not going to see Besser tonight. I won't be shocked if we see him tomorrow, but, based on just the overall look of his routine during the morning skate, I'd probably think Buffalo is a safer bet at this point.
Okay, this comes from Rick. He wants to remind you that yesterday, October 14th, was Be Bald and Be Free Day. Have I got that right, Rick?
Be bald and be free. That was the day yesterday, Thomas. Were you aware of that?
I was not.
Okay.
I appreciate that, though.
Yeah,
I'm glad to know it now, and
Yeah.
I will celebrate it belatedly with some Geno's hot sauce.
All right. Oh, look at
there you
this.
go.
Look at this. Thomas,
Oh,
look at this. Oh, man. Howie Mandel's in there. I love Howie. Who's
Canadian content.
Canadian content. Who's the
Jeff Bezos, huh?
Jeff
Bezos there
Bezos,
at the
yeah.
bottom right.
Nice.
Pitbull.
That's,
Pitbull's in there. Boy, Thomas, you
Mr.
got
Worldwide. We've got Mr. Worldwide. We've got
Yeah.
the richest man on the planet.
Yeah.
And we've got the guy who puts a glove on his head.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Really good addition. Strong addition this week.
And Statham is my new favorite tough guy
but
actor. I love him.
He's still got to get a shirt like Telly Savalas is there.
Yeah.
That is just gold. Next Friday.
Next
All right.
Friday, we'll see who you add to the bald guy roster.
Yeah,
Well, take a look, Thomas. It might be me.
yeah.
Thanks for this.
Yeah, well, Anytime, gentlemen. And, I just want to remind you guys, I am a part-time pro scout for Team Play Bald. And after he walked into the rink in Columbus looking the way he did, Patrick Laine, he's now on our scouting list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get that shot in a second.
We're going to get to that.
Thomas,
Patrick
thanks
Laine.
for this. Appreciate it. All the best.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for having me.